So I have a question for you, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now it's Sunday morning. We tape this, and the big game is going to be on Monday, and probably a lot of people listening already know the results. But when you're going into Tampa's going in on Monday, and they know the cups in the building and the whole deal, do they try really, really as hard as before, or would they like to win it back in their own hometown? Maybe make a few extra bucks for their owner.
No,
how do they go into the game?
They'll be a little dopey. They won't.
Dopey.
They won't. Let me put it this way to you. I never thought it that way, and I don't think anybody else thinks that. Cooper would like to get it over with. He doesn't. It would be nice to win it back at Tampa, but he won't stress it quite as much as he would if he was at home. And yeah, that's a good question.
So they don't play any different. They go full out.
I don't know if they'll play kind of dopey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I played on teams that were up 3-0 and we were going in, and I remember playing and I don't know. I can't answer that question, to tell you the truth.
I stumped on Sherry with the question.
Well, you didn't stump me. I don't know.
You were telling us, because we have coffee on Tim's porch before. Tell us the story when you were saying about when you were up, when you were lost you were 2-0 down, and against Montreal.
Because it was because you lost the first two games of Montreal, and it was almost the same kind of scenario where it was 79 that the second game the Bruins played Montreal, we should have won. And the reality was, I think Montreal should have won that second game in Tampa. I mean, they outplayed them, outshot them.
Well, they're out. Here's the funny thing about the whole thing is that Canadians are out shooting them now. But when you give the guys that Khrushchev, they're give Khrushchev 7 goals. But anyhow, let me tell you a story. That we lost 2-0, and the players were down. Here we go again, because we'd lost in the finals the year before.
And those are the days when you chartered a flight back to Boston.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I went in the dressing room and I said, "We will be back for the 7th game. Will we be?" And the players, I said, "We'll be back." And so now we get on the plane, and all the brass is sitting up the front, and Harry and Jeremy Jacobs and everybody. I don't know. All the brass is sitting up the front. So I said to the stewardess, I said, "Do we have any champagne?" And I'm sitting in the back. And she said, "Yeah, we have some bottles." I said, "Okay, get out the bottles." And then I said, "Do we have those glasses that look like champagne glasses?" She says, "Yeah, we do." I said, "Give them to all the players." And she thought I was nuts. We're down 2-0. So they give the glasses out to the players. And I said, "We're going to drink to the 7th game back here in Montreal."
And you were up actually pouring the champagne.
I was up, and naturally thought I was nuts in the front. Yeah, I'll tell you another story just to jump in. And we were back for the 7th game. We lost, unfortunately.
I could imagine there would be a lot of eyes rolling in the first class section.
Some of the players thought, "This guy's nuts," or something like that. But we were back for the 7th game. We lost, and too many men on the ice. And if I hadn't caught a couple of guys, we might have had 9 guys on the ice. But we were so excited. But we were back, and the 3rd game I always think is the most important game, because if they win that game, they're right back in this thing again. And they outshot Florida.
Yeah, both the second game and the third game. But that Montreal, the coaches, they knew they should have won that second game, and that was they should have been 1-1 going back. How do you as a coach, what do? You just go we're down 2-0. We should be 1-1.
And then they outshot them again.
And they outshot them again in the third game.
Third game is always the most important to me, and to lose that, there's no way. I mean, Montreal, a Canadian team with the most Canadians. I wish they would, but they're not going to win. They're not going to beat Florida going back. And I'd like to say something about Vasilevsky, their goaltender.
Vasilevsky.
Yeah, he is so big that when the shots are from the point, he looks over top of them. Next game, and you're watch him look over top of the guys in front, because he's so big. Now,
just jumping in there. You know what a strange thing is? He looks bigger than Price, right?
Yeah.
They're the same size and same weight.
Get out.
Yeah. They're the same size, same weight. They're both 6'3". Price is 220, and Vasilevsky's 6'3", 225.
So do they have different goalie styles? Is that it?
I think his equipment's bigger.
Oh,
Well, I know one thing. He looks a lot bigger, and when they're coming in on him, he looks pretty big to me.
Well, you and I were talking about it that, he has your philosophy of, if it's a 2-on-1 or thing or an odd man, which there isn't too many, he just comes roaring out and blocks a shot.
And they know it, the defense too.
Right, and his mentality is if you pass the puck and they score, it's not my fault.
No, and if like a 2-on-1, next time you say if you
If
might
they have
might have 2 more games, and when it's a 2-on-1, he'll come out and take the shooter, and if you pass it over, not his fault, and the defense knows that. I mean when they play,
there's no guesswork. He knows. Everyone knows the game plan.
He's taking the shooter. He doesn't try to do half and half.
Well, that makes sense because how many of the times you see the goalies not know whether to go over or do what they're going to do or try to read the play?
The defense knows that he's taking the shooter. If he passes it over, it's the defense fault, and he doesn't point at the guy, but everybody knows it's his fault.
Yeah, and when he comes out, there's nothing you can do. You're not going to.
But in your next game, watch how he looks over top of the guy out at the point, and he looks over top. I don't believe they're the same. I don't care.
Well, according to the NHL stats, and less price shrunk over the beginning of the season.
No, the other guy grew. He's taller. I don't care what anybody says. He's taller. He looks taller to me anyhow.
Yeah. Well, and we're just talking about that game too. And if you don't, if you remember, I think the killer was with a half a second left in the second period. Tampa scored to go ahead.
Tim, can I tell you the one that I really think that there's a point in every game or every series that, again, I'm going back to the Boston series. I hate to say this, but remember they got that penalty that
against the Islanders.
Yeah,
they got a chintzy penalty. Islanders scored, and the Islanders just seemed to take off after that.
And they never were the same after that. During that game, I remind me of the Ice Dogs. The Ice Dogs, when we took over the Ice Dogs, we drafted, and we didn't draft very good. And I remember we got a Russian. I got forced to take a Russian, and he didn't know the game very good. And killing the penalty, he come out and went through the guys going down. I said, "What are you doing?" And when I was with the Bruins, it taught me a lesson. When I was with the Bruins, the guy going out, say he was a left defenseman, or say he was a defenseman.
So what you're saying is when they come out of the penalty or you're changing,
you stay on. If you're a defenseman, you stay on. You play left wing, or you play right wing.
You don't go to the bench.
You don't go to the bench because, and what happened is it wasn't quite the same, but this guy was changing on and it was the third goal, and he actually skated between the two guys that had the 2-on-1.
Oh. Trying to get to the bench.
Well, he was changing. He had his mind mapped. He was going to make, and that was the third goal was the killer, and that was it. You could just see them just change the whole deal. And
tell us about the quick story though. Like we said that you got they got it was 1-1 and Montreal was outplaying them, and then they scored to make it 2-1 with half a second left. Didn't that happen to you in Vancouver?
Oh yeah, I remember in Vancouver. We were in Vancouver. That's a true story. I mean, that's hard to believe. But Jilly Gilbert, who set a record, by the way, that still holds in the National Hockey League. What is it, 17 straight games?
17 consecutive wins. Doesn't mean he won 17, like played 17 games in a row, but the 17 games that he played. And he got all the tough ones. He won every game.
Yeah, he got all the tough games. If we played 3 games in 3 nights.
Yeah, you say you didn't like him, but this may be one of the reasons why. So
yeah, I think the players. But anyhow, so it was near the end of the game, and it was a face-off in Vancouver's ends. And
it was the end of the period.
Yeah, it was the end of the period. And they just got the puck, and you'll see it once in a while. They just take it, slap it, put it on net. And the guy got it, and he slapped it. And the puck went in. And I swore that Jilly was taking his glove off. when the puck went in.
So there's like a second left. He's skating out of the
Yeah,
net.
you know, he figures it's
the
over.
game period's over.
And I said, I remember Peter McNabb, they all like Jilly, eh? And Jill.
Well, they felt sorry for him
Or
and didn't want him even more in your bad books.
whatever it was. I said, I think he was taking his glove off when that go. Oh no, he was. I don't know. And then later on, I saw it. He was skating over the net, taking his gloves off. I mean, who'd you ever figure with 3 or 4 seconds to go? That's why guys don't pull the goalie because, bing bang. Anyhow. So what was the question?
I was just saying. I think that was a big backbreaker in Game 2. That it was. They scored with a half a second left. And
You know what gets me when I see this McDonough, Ryan McDonough. He was +3 the last game, and he kills the penalties. He blocks shots. He's fantastic, and they gave him away. He was with the Montreal, and they gave him away, and he's +3 in a 4-2 game. He's +3.
It's amazing how Tampa Braden Point had an okay season, and now he's second in the league in points.
How many guys he's unbelievable on goals. I mean, and at the start of and we did this broadcast. This is my favorite player in the playoffs is Braden Point. I hate to say that, but he is. And but you're not going to win when you give a guy like Khrushchev 7 shots on net. That's what he had.
Speaking of him, it's funny. He's the whole controversy around the Tampa and the salary cap. So he didn't play at all this year.
Yeah.
Didn't play at all, and they took the $9 million off the salary. And that allowed, I was reading an article, and they said, the big thing was they were able to get that Dennis Savard, the defenseman, because of that. Everybody's going to wonder, do you bet Montreal is going to get it in one more game?
I think they'll win one. I think they'll win one. I think they'll win one game.